Let's watch Akshan from Bengaluru, India score a perfect band 9 on the speaking section with examiner Kavita. I will explain his fluency and accuracy throughout this interview. Let's begin.
Welcome to the speaking section of the IELTS exam. My name is Kavita and I will be your examiner for this part of the test. I'm recording this for clerical purposes. The test has 3 parts. I will give you instructions for each. We are conducting this exam in Bengaluru and the time is 11 o'clock. This is candidate number 342-1678 and examiner number 3128. May I see your identification, please?
Yes, certainly. Here's my passport that I used to register for IELTS. Please have a look.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What is your full name?
My given name is Akshan and my family name is Singh. Please call me by my given name, Akshan.
Okay, Akshan. For part 1, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions to get to know you better.
Sure.
And some questions on a general topic.
Of course.
Why are you taking this exam?
The IELTS exam is important for me as I'm planning to pursue my PhD in quantum computing in the United States. And simply put, it is an integral part of my academic CV.
Where do you live?
Well, I live in the capital of Karnataka, Bengaluru, in a 3-bedroom detached house with my parents and siblings.
Let's talk about cars and buses. How often do you use a car? How about a bus?
I use my car quite often, at least once or twice a day, to either get to work or school. I just used my car an hour ago to get to this exam here. Since I have a car, I don't quite use the bus.
Where is the last place you went to in your car?
As I just said, I used my car an hour ago to get here to this exam. I've parked it a couple of blocks away from here.
When is it a good idea to take the bus instead of a car?
Well, I would say it's a good idea to take the bus instead of a car if a person's been drinking or is unable to drive. It is dangerous to drive if a person is impaired or, not fit to drive due to an injury. When I sprained my ankle last year, I took the bus for a whole week.
When is a car better to use than a bus?
I would say using a car for long trips especially is better because it's super convenient and comfortable. You get to stop whenever you want to and you can play your own music.
Has bus transportation in your city changed in the last 10 years?
Oh yes, the transit system has drastically changed in the past decade. There are newer routes and modern buses compared to back in 2010. I would say that it's a good step going forward because buses have lower emission.
If you could buy any kind of car, what would you buy and why?
Well, if I could buy a car, I would definitely buy a Ferrari Enzo if money wasn't the problem. I believe it's one of the super exotic cars ever built. I would like to have one, maybe someday.
That is the end of part 1. We will now continue with part 2.
Notice that Kavita, the examiner, is very serious and structured throughout the interview. Unlike your typical fun English class, the IELTS examiner is not there to impress you. On the contrary, like Akshan, you are there to impress the examiner. And to do this, it's important to speak in full sentences and use hand gestures, like when Akshan says that his car is parked outside just a couple of blocks away. Akshan is energetic from start to finish. He enunciates his words, making sure that they sound clear. He does not rush his answers. And he uses the questions to give full, fluent, and clear responses. When Kavita asks Akshan, how often do you use your car or public transit? He uses the question and he says, I use my car quite frequently. It's this kind of use of question with energetic and clear language that gets the high scores. Just like Akshan, make sure to include the grammar of the question in your response. When Kavita asks if you could own any vehicle, what would it be? Akshan cleverly responds with the condition. If I could, I would own a Ferrari Enzo. Again, this leads to more fluency, accuracy, and coherence. Now, let's continue.
For this part, I'm going to show you some questions. Please do not touch the question sheet. You'll have 1 minute to read these questions and think about your answers. You may take notes during the 1 minute preparation time. Then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. I will tell you when to start and when to stop. Talk about a person you like to spend time with. Your 1 minute preparation time begins now.
Do you want to know your speaking band score? Send us an MP3 recording of Speaking Section Part 2 to this email address and we will give you a free band score estimate. Also, make sure to use the Student Partner Speaking in your My Student account on our websites. Now, let's continue.
Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
Okay. I have been spending a considerable amount of time last year with my master's thesis professor, Dr. Patel, as I've been researching various applications in the field of quantum computing. Dr. Patel is a distinguished professor in the field of computer science. He has over 30 years of experience in this field. He is of an average height, has a fat belly, and a very kind smile. He's a pleasure to work with. I met him during my Bachelor's of Computer Application Studies at my university, and I had a couple of classes with him. I believe it was my third year classes in quantum computing, and that's when I fell in love with this subject. After my bachelor's, I did apply for my master's under Dr. Patel's supervision, and to my fortune, he took me in as one of his graduate students. Dr. Patel is an astute man. He's very good at assessing challenges and comes up with real quick solutions. Whenever I am stuck with my algorithms for my master's thesis, he's my go-to person and he helps me get unstuck. He's a hardworking individual and puts dozens of hours at computer labs and teaching, as well as spends time with his family and friends. I have a lot of respect for him. I like working with him because we share the same interest in quantum computing. Both of us believe that quantum computing is the future of artificial intelligence. Therefore, we sit together once a while for a cup of tea and discuss about the most recent research or technology, or where human beings are going forward with this technology. I hope one day I could earn the same level of respect of what Dr. Patel has in the scientific community.
That is the end of part 2. Please put your notepaper to the side, turn it over, and your pencil as well.
Fluency and accuracy are extremely important in part 2, the cue card, because basically you're building a story 1 to 2 minutes long, and from start to finish it must make sense, making sure that you answer all the questions on the card. There are a few great strategies and tricks that Akshan implores to achieve this goal. Firstly, he starts by answering the topic of the cue card directly. The cue card asks for the candidate to talk about a person they have spent a lot of time with. So Akshan right away states, I have been spending a considerable amount of time with my master's supervisor, Dr. Patel. It's a clear and direct answer using the present perfect progressive. The next strategy that Akshan implores is having great structure, as he knows that when talking about a person, it's a good idea to say a little bit about their appearance so the listener can visualize Dr. Patel as having a bit of a fat belly, and then talking about that person's characteristics, personality, and backing it up with actions, like stating that Dr. Patel is a hard worker who spends dozens of hours in the computer lab. This kind of structure and storytelling from start to finish is what will not only maintain, but build that Band 9 result. Notice again that Akshan does not rush his speech, his sentences. Instead, he focuses on enunciating important words and connecting his thoughts, like saying, therefore, we sit for a cup of tea to discuss about our research. Finally, when he's finished answering all of the questions, making sure to look at his notes and cue card, which help his fluency and accuracy, then at the end, he gives a sentence which concludes his thoughts and tells the examiner that he is finished and she can stop him. So he says, one day, I hope to earn as much respect in the scientific community as Dr. Patel. This is a clear indication that his story has ended and he's ready for part 3.
And now we will continue with part 3. For this part, I will ask you questions related to part 2. Let's talk about spending time with others. Why is it important to spend time with people we care about?
I believe the greatest joy in life comes when we spend quality time with the people we share a bond with. It could be sharing a laughter with friends or family, or a master thesis with your professor. That's what makes life worth living. It gives people motivation and confidence to step up in life and be successful.
What are positive ways to spend time together?
I would say beneficial interactions are the one that stimulates both mind and the body. This could be working on a project together or playing a sport like cricket. It helps people stay healthy and happy. I make sure that I get quality time with my friends and family at least a few times a week.
What are the negative ways?
Harmful interactions could be indulging into illegal activities or dangerous activities like drinking and driving or burglary. It could lead to injury, loss of life, or loss of freedom.
How has spending time together with people changed over the past few decades?
Well, it has changed a fair bit. People used to have quality conversations with each other before the introduction of technology. With smartphones and internet now, people do have quick interactions but with very low quality. People tend to send instant messages to each other, but back in those days, people used to have real long conversations face to face.
How do you think it will change in the future?
I'll have to think about a bit. Well, I think people would resort to more of intimate relationships and interactions in the future. This could be perhaps aided by a new technology like virtual reality.
What happens if people do not spend quality time with the people they care about?
Well, if people do lack social interactions and interpersonal touch and bond, they may feel demotivated or depressed. This is because people are social in nature, so they need that sort of connection.
How can this be avoided?
People can definitely avoid social isolation if they plan well. First, be confident. Secondly, make plans to meet friends and family. I make a point that I call my family and friends for a get-together during the weekends.
That is the end of part 3, and that concludes the speaking section of the IELTS exam. You will have your mark available online in 2 days, and you should have your official certificate in the mail in about 10 days with the other section marks as well. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
In the final part, part 3, Akshan knows that he must stay calm, focused, and confident in order to maintain his high band score. And he does just that by applying the strategies that he used in part 1, using the questions in his answer, making sure to reflect the grammar of questions, paraphrasing the words in the questions, and giving clear explanations and examples to back up his opinions. We can see this right away with Akshan's first response, where he beautifully paraphrases the question in his answer, stating that the greatest joy in life comes from spending quality time with the people we share a bond with. And then he relates to part 2, stating that this is the reason he likes spending time with his master's supervisor, Dr. Patel. Again, notice that Akshan does not rush. Instead, he pays attention to his intonation and enunciation of words, making sure to have absolute clarity. When asked about how social interactions have changed, he responds by saying they have changed a fair bit. It's a short sentence, but it does show present perfect and natural language right away. In your speaking interview, make sure to impress the examiner by enunciating your words, by being confident and fluent. Use hand gestures. These will help you to be expressive, even in the computer-based exam. Be yourself and do your best. Good luck the next time you sit your test. Get all of our videos, practice exams, and our interactive course? Join our premium IELTS package at aehelp.com. Use the code FLUENT9 for a 25% discount only for the first 500 signups. Click the link in the video description. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. Begin learning for success today. Subscribe to our channel. Click over here. Watch another video. Click right up here. And click our IELTS Hero to join our premium package and get access to all of our videos, practice exams, and a fully interactive course.